Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is my initial thoughts video for Pirate Captain Flan. As you guys know from my videos, I usually like taking that artistic approach or talk about art, aesthetics, animations, and stuff like that as well. So that's the first thing I'm going to cover here for Pirate Captain Flan. I heard this comment twice on the same night on my stream from different people at a different time, that they felt like Pirate Captain Flan looks more like a skin than an like individual ML5. I would say that 100% agree with that, and I wanted to touch upon that first because you know, obviously raising this up in case like some of my viewers were like, yeah, I thought it would look like a skin too. A couple years ago we had that green Charles, remember the RGB Charles that everyone knew and loved and hated as well versus like Guild War defenses. That Charles had a preview during like one of their trailer montages, and it showed his like demon hunter or demons, what's that, demon hunter, vampire hunter, slayer, vampire slayer Charles skin. And I remember like, a lot of people loved speculating for that, and I myself, I was part of that speculation. It's like, oh, is that a skin? Is that an ML5? I would say that skin had more, like during the preview at that time, that skin had more like justification to be an individual hero, like an ML5. Whereas like if we saw Pirate Captain Flan kind of like shown in this montage-y trailer, I'm pretty sure more people would think that it would be a skin over an ML5. So recently in our side story, we had that, what's it called, the Game of Princes or whatever, and there's like this Mage Luna, I think that's her name, it's literally called Mage Luna. And like a lot of people before the side story, it was like data mined and people were like, oh, is that ML Luna? No, that's a skin, it has to be a skin. You can't have an ML of a limited hero, da 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 da. Like that Luna looked more like an individual like character over a skin. Pirate Captain Flan looks more like a skin, not an individual character. I would say that the name Pirate Captain Flan also doesn't help the cause. Since that like let's say like savory chef Rowana, sexy nurse Tenebria or something like that, like it feels very Halloween costumey, and I think that's also working against it. But that being said, it's not a complaint, it's more of like an observation. Like Smilegate obviously knows what worked for the original Flan, like the hair, the curly hair. I mean, I'm a fan of that. I always like, I did a Wolf Howl stream on Fan's original debut stream, and she still got the same good. She's got the thighs, she's got the upper portion, she's got the nice waist. The only difference I feel like it's just like, it's pretty much the same hair, same body, it's got like just a different coat and maybe a different hat. So I definitely, I'm not, I think it's fine. It's just definitely not like, I think Lionheart Sirmia definitely like upped the bar for Sirmia for me, but I would say like Pirate Captain Flan doesn't really up the bar for Flan for me. That would be the better like kind of comparison. Regardless, I do love their concept art as usual. I always want to show it. It is a shame that they only show always like one screenshot of it, generally, sometimes maybe two, very rarely two, and it just fades away. If some of you guys remember, back when Smilegate pushed out episode 2, like right before episode 2 came out, they had actually a very long stove post, like a forum post, like kind of laying out the art direction. I think it's like an interview with the art directors for episode 2 or something. Unless they changed art directors or they just didn't want to tease us anymore. If you haven't read that post, you should definitely try looking it up on Google. Maybe I'll even make a video on that one day, because what was in that post was basically almost like buried treasure now, compared. It had preview of like Strays' character design, Cowrick's character design, Luluka's character design, but not only like the stuff you see on screen. It was like the process. There was like multiple versions of Cowrick. There was a Cowrick in a black suit, and like they even had notes from the art director saying that, oh yeah, but then we wanted to make it look more pristine, more clean, so we went with the white, etc, etc. And the Luluka had like 6 or 7 different versions, and that whole entire post was like amazing. When I look back on it, I was like, where's that stuff now, right? So I hope that they even show progress or the process of getting to like achieving the final design, I think that's really cool. And if anything, have that in the art books. To my knowledge, in the art book that they were selling, they don't have like the process of the concept art. They only have the concept art. So like the stuff that you would see on screen right here. This would be like in the concept art phase, this would be already finalized. Like this is the signed off concept art. I like the process though, but that's just me. So for those of you who are actually here to hear my thoughts on the actual character in terms of the performance, here's that portion. So she's a ranger, she's a Gemini, she's a dark ML5. We've had a lot of light ML5s in the past couple while. Dark being the returns, so it's good to see a dark hero. Although I really feel that for me, her being dark or light doesn't really make it too much of a difference. She is a Gemini though, so just to keep that in mind, this is the same as SSB, Briarwitch, Athletica. I mentioned all three of those because they're built very vastly different. Athletica usually a speed contesting hero with higher speed, Briarwitch sometimes as full damage, sometimes with some more speed and damage, and then SSB like a slow tank. And so just to keep those things in mind, a similar, of course it's the same stats, the imprint concentration release is similar to an SSB in terms of the release, 2-slot health, except it's the front and bottom slot, SSB being the front and top slot. So regardless, it does help her kit because she does have a similar damage sharing passive as SSB. So having the imprint release for the frontliner could be good depending on how you want to use her. The imprint concentration being self-attack 18%, and she is a bomber and burner. It is more useful than I would say like SSB self-imprint on the effectiveness when in regards to PvP. So comparing the two, her imprint concentration is more useful, and the release, both of them are useful for PvP. I would feel the effectiveness generally on SSB would be more PvE oriented, but that's just my thoughts. So anyways, the health is at 5299, speed is pretty good at 114. Again, like I said, Athletica used to be a good speed contester, not so much these days, but she's still used. If people built her really good, she can still be used for sure. The defense is at 571. So comparing to some of the rangers, let's say for example Green Assyria, Leo Ranger, definitely lacking a bit of the bulk, and we know that about SSB. It's real, you need really high gear score SSB to look really good for PvP, that is. Crit rate is at 15, which is good because you're not going to use crit rate, I don't believe so, because the power of her skills are very low. So anyways, the S3 is called Full Burst. Increase the attack of the caster for 2 turns. Attacks all enemies with a barrage of cannon fire, inflicting burn and planting a bomb for 2 turns. And then before decreasing combat readiness by 25%. And then increase the combat readiness of the caster by 50%. So overall, this is a pretty packed skill. Like on paper, it's a pretty packed skill. You got the CR pushback, you got the self CR boost for her second turn. So technically you're getting half a turn here, so 1.5 turns here. So it's not terrible. The cooldown is a 4-turn cooldown if you +3, and I don't know if you would ever want to skill enhance this to +6. I don't think overall it will help too much. Yeah, I don't think so. Like unless you're going crit rate, crit damage, I don't think there's any reason to. I'm running the damage calculator on the other monitor right now, and basically you're doing 1000 more damage based on the stats I've plugged in, which is about 4k attack with an attack buff. Of course, no crit damage, but you're doing about 1000. I don't know if that's worth that mola there. I would say that it would be probably better just to get more attack, and maybe even a vigor buff depending on how you want to use her, to get the bombs and burns to do more damage instead of molding it. So I definitely say that the investment in terms of mola is probably pretty low for her, at least based on what I've seen. So the S3 at least just +3. So 4 turns, it's quite long for her type of fight, I believe, because unless you have other characters that can burn and use bombs, 4 turns is actually way too long for her. So she won't be able to, like, if you fail to kill on the initial burst, she's kind of not going to be that useful, I think. This is part of the S3 animation. I'm not gonna show the full storyboard or screenshots of it, but eventually, basically, like she calls in 2 ships. Very dramatic entrance of the ships, and both ships barrage the enemy, like basically like sandwich them, and they just like fire tons of cannons, and then you eventually see something like this, which is really cool. Again, the timing of the animation is fantastic. The look of the animation, the feel of it is really good. Very exaggerated. But I almost feel like it's exaggerated for a very small effect, since it's like a lot of cannon fire and stuff like that. But really, what you end up with is just a lot of bombs and burns. That I don't know, that connection to me feels slightly off, cause it took 2 ships to basically plant burns and bombs though. Although theoretically speaking, it makes kind of sense. It makes sense. Because like if they were in a ship, they would probably be, you know, ready to detonate, or they're on fire. In this screenshot, in their preview, they actually had Carrot go first. Okay, so this is something to keep in mind. They had Carrot go first and already plant some bombs. So like the skill description says, it is basically 2 ticks of burn. So 2 turns of burn, but it's 1 burn icon. We call 2 ticks of burn since both burns, if you detonate it, it would do the individual burn damage. Okay, whereas the detonation, the number 2 around the bomb will not cause more damage, but rather in the bomb's debuff scenario, it's more of a countdown. So you're not gonna really do more damage if you have a number 2 with the bomb or number 1. It's technically the same amount of damage. It does apply the attack, the damage from the attack of the caster before the debuffs are applied. So when she does a self-attack buff, that's why it's pretty good. She does do a self-attack buff on her turn to apply these. So this is definitely like good. You don't have to run another like buffer in between. So in terms of like comparing to someone like Summertime Assyria, you don't need like a Ran on Silver Rain to give her the attack buff, or a Piera to give her the attack buff. And even with Piera, if Piera does the strip, you're not getting the attack buff. So the 2 bombs that Summertime Assyria plants from her passive will not have the increased damage. Okay, so in terms of Pirate Captain Flan, you get that increased damage because you have the attack buff before you hit. So yeah, so just to keep in mind that she only does her own burn, like only 1 icon of burn. So that is a significant cut in the damage. I do have the damage formula or damage calculator open. I set it to a 4K attack PC Flan, and 0 crit damage with a self-attack buff. And the defense of the target I even set to only 1000. She, based on her own burns, she will have 2 ticks of burns to detonate, because 1 burn icon and then number 2 ticks of burn and then 1 bomb effect to detonate. Basically on her like normal hit, even if she does crit, but let's just say the normal hit or a crushing hit, normal hit does about 17,481. On a miss, it does about 16,899. That's quite a lot of damage in terms of the miss and stuff, because burns and detonates, I believe they do pen defense, so they penetrate 70% of the defense, so it's pretty good. But like if I crank up the opponent's defense to about 1500 with the same stuff, you're still doing only about 13,000 damage. So in terms of like, if you're gonna use her as a sole DPS, it's pretty tough to use her, I would say. I would definitely say that you would need a combination of the Piera, Sea Lilius, Ran, like one of those kind of strip openers, and probably like an ML Leo and Caesarea to kind of top off the burns. In this video, they had Carrot, so if you have a pretty fast Carrot, like a 250 speed Carrot, built for like high burn and just toggle holder, maybe it could work. So like, you know, just to keep that in mind, I think the issue with Pirate Captain Flan for me is that she needs more support than I would feel like Summertime Assyria does. Like from the initial look at least. and then, like, don't get me wrong, the S3 is packed, right? You got self-attack buff, you have burn and bombs, you don't have a D spell, you don't have a strip. This is why she'll still need that stripper, but we don't have, like, we're not lacking anyone who can strip anyways these days, so I think that's fine. And then the combat readiness pushback on the opponents will give an edge for your, you know, carrots to come in or whatever. And so you know, and self CR boost of 50%. So all in all, like, on paper it looks really good, and I think the only issue is, like, well, how does she synergize? And I think this will definitely take the, it's not so obvious for me, but definitely you would need to run one of the meta strips first. So Pirate Captain Flan's skill 2, Scourge of the Sea. So redirects 30% of the damage suffered by the caster to the foremost ally. When using more than one damage sharing effect is granted, only the strongest effect is applied. So that is like literally an SSB. That's an Aureus to the front line. So just think of her like an SSB that way, right? After using Execution on the caster's turn, when the caster has a buff, activates Hunt. Hunt can only activate once every 2 turns. So you also can't spam this. So Hunt raises the morale of all allies and increases the combat range by 10%. And if you do the skill enhance, it increases the combat range by 15%. So 15% CR boost every time she does the S1 if she's buffed, but only once every 2 turns. So Execution. What do I think about this? So I mean having a CR boost for full team is always good. So like in the way that this passive works reminds me of something like a Sasha Thanes. So I'm curious of like what kind of artifact I would, if I get her and if I do use her, what kind of artifact I would run on her. I'm thinking at the moment like something like Sasha Thanes. Guiding Light always pretty good, always going to be good on a ranger that can do AoE, and even has some innate damage mitigation. Some people are saying the Summertime Assyria's artifact would be good for her because like as soon as you do the S1 to detonate, like assuming that you get an additional bomb, you do additional damage, right? So I don't think that's a bad idea. Also, you can sort of like maybe ensure someone gets a bomb if you've missed the bomb on the S3 or your other bombers didn't land a bomb on the target that you want stunned. So I think those are probably the artifacts I'm thinking of at the moment. Sasha Thane's mainly for like a very aggro comp though, so it's not really for her, it's for the rest of the team. Because I do feel that she's, again, that kind of role that she's in is that she's like kind of like a sandwich in between. I don't think at the moment she would be like a must-have. Like I feel like Summertime Assyria has that role of bridging the gap of your slower characters because she has the CR boost as well. Although Flan does too technically. She won't get it like guaranteed because only a 50% CR boost. If she gets the turn from her S3 first before your opponent goes. So there's a lot of variables on her side. I think that if you build her really fast, really high damage, good effectiveness, I think she'll probably do her job. That's what I think. I don't think that, I can't see a reason for her to be more like an SSB build, which is kind of like a slower tanky build. I don't see that just because like if she's super slow, she really doesn't do much. Yeah, and you can't get her to like detonate things on a counter, I believe. So hold on, well, counter maybe. It's attacks an enemy with a gun and at the end of the turn detonates burn and bomb effects inflicted on the target. Soul burn, which requires 20 souls, will grant an extra turn. So in her case, like in this scenario, she could technically detonate 2 targets, right? But that's like a very perfect scenario, I feel. So like realistically in a world arena setting, I don't know if you're getting that. You'd have to get the book, you'd have to have the strip. I think these are like comments that I made for Summertime Assyria, that she would need too much support. And while that held to be true, her support were like, I feel like Ran, Piera, there's a lot of heroes that Smougate released after Summertime Assyria that really helped Summertime Assyria to become very good. Politis, in fact, is really good with Summertime Assyria as well. So it's like, it's not that it's impossible to use Summertime Assyria that way, but it's like, I don't know like if she let's say if she, like, best case scenario is that she's safe in terms of the similar Summertime Assyria comps. But that being said, she's still very reliant on the strip. On the strip for sure, because otherwise the S1 doesn't do much except to detonate. Unless she's buffed, of course, then she can CR boost the team. So maybe immunity, maybe guiding light, just in case you're gonna use her for like a second turn. So maybe guiding light now, I'm just thinking about that. And then getting the souls, like if you want that extra turn, if you want that, you need 20 souls. So like you'll need, again, like I said, very similar to like a Summertime Assyria type of comp in my opinion, to set her up. And then this is the part of the S3 animation. This is my last frame. I wanted to mention the skill modifiers. So the S1 has a 0.7 times mod with a power of 0.95. So it's really low. She doesn't scale on anything else either. So it's really low. So chasing crit rate, crit damage is probably not the play. The S3, it's an AoE. It does have an attack rate of 0.8 and a power of 1. So in terms of an AoE damage, it's okay. It's not good though. It's not good. Nowhere near like a good AoE cleave good. So you don't want to chase crit rate, crit damage, I believe. You probably just want to chase effectiveness, attack, and high speed. I feel that just because she lacks Summertime Assyria's CR boost, that self CR boost to get her turn after your stripper, I think that she needs a really quick follow-up. So I think maybe 15 speed under your fastest strip, and then go really high attack, really high effectiveness, and that's probably what I would think would be her main build. I would be very interested to see if she can really benefit from that 30% damage mitigation, that frontline one. I just feel like in the comps that she may go into, it's like, who would want to share that damage, right? Like, who would want to share this damage? I'm not quite sure. And then, like I said, you can't build it too slow. I'm just thinking about a bulkier version with like 200 speed. I don't know. Anyways, I mean, I've saved this pun to the end. Like, she can either be the bomb or she can be... Wait, I messed up. I think it's like be the bomb, which means she'll be good, or that she'll bomb. Yeah, so that was the pun. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think about her? Like, so two separate things I would say, like aesthetics, because a lot of people comment saying that, yeah, I'm pulling her because waifu, even though I don't think she's that good. So what do you think? Like, is she good? Is she bad? Let me know if you guys have any bright ideas on how to use her outside of the stuff that I was talking about. I do think that Roaming Warrior Leo could be a cool play, especially if you got all the bombers on hand. But he would also need to be a very fast opener because he's this strip as well. He's an AoE damage dealer strip. So that's something to keep in mind, maybe. Anyways, I'm going to end this for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.